Hello everyone, glad to see you online on this lovely Sunday evening. Hope everyone is doing well. I am just going to wait a few minutes while some people are joining. I hear some dings as people are coming in to the webinar. So thank you very much for joining. Are you able to hear me, Grace? You see that you've joined?
Yes, I am.
Yes, you can, and I can hear you. Fabulous. It's good to see that this is all the technology is working, and I managed to. I'm so proud. I actually clicked the recording button already before I started chatting merrily along.
Oh, very good.
Yes, very exciting. So welcome.
I'm glad to be here. I would have come to the last one, but I didn't realize you were having it.
Wow, now you know.
I spaced out at like 7:30. My mom was like, "Oh yeah, she had a webinar at like 7."
But did you get the recording? You can listen to the recording.
Oh no, I haven't gotten it yet.
Okay, I will certainly send it in the next email I send. Welcome, Sherry.
Thank you.
Glad to see you aboard. Haha, aboard. Just kidding.
Oh,
Well, I can hear, hold on, let me see if I can unmute Sherry. I don't think you've got audio yet, Sherry. Maybe I have to mute Grace and then unmute. I think
Hello?
hello, Sherry.
Here I am.
There you
Yay!
are. Welcome. All right.
You.
I'm so glad you can make it. Class number 2.
Yes.
So let's get started. Little horse and rider fitness. Let's go over the agenda. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is how we have been doing on planning our fun and having fun in the plan. Has anyone gotten their SMARTS goals down? I know one person has, and we'll get some input on her and then from her. And then what about planning the ride in the fitness week? And how was our plank challenge this week? How did that go? I know I posted a couple times this week. One time a picture, and one time I couldn't get my dog to take the picture. My cameraman always disappears the minute I need him. We're going to talk a little bit about the anatomy of fun riding, talk about a warm-up for a great ride, exercises, some mindset stuff, and more, and then a little bit on cool down and post-ride review and revelation and celebration. And then we'll talk about any Q&A you may have. I did get a question on some lateral work, so we're going to go through some of the lateral work I did this weekend at the show. And I'm going to use some videos from the show to talk about how warm-ups are useful for show preparation. So that's going to be a big focus of our conversation this evening. And let me get to the next slide. So last week we talked about what are your goals? There's this random T in there. Your goals. So I'll just go back to that from current slide. Ooh. Uh-oh, did I lose the sharing? Share my screen. Yeah, there we go. Hopefully everyone can see it. Are you able to see my screen, Sherry?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good. Okay. So we have, I have a little inside track. We've actually talked a little bit about setting some goals and getting a little more specific about them than, hey, I want to ride great by the end of the year, taking that to the next step. And not sure if you had a chance to go back over your goals this year, but if you would feel like being brave and sort of helping me talk through how this helped you kind of quantify your goals and be more specific about it, um, uh, I would appreciate that very much. Did I mute you again accidentally? No, you're unmuted. So,
Okay. You want me to talk about it?
well, tell me a little
Sorry.
bit how, we talked about a specific goal and why, what goal did you choose and why?
Okay, well, we originally talked back in November, and I was kind of all over the place. I didn't have a direction. I had 2 horses, so I was very lost. And you basically said, what does Sherry want to do? What does Sherry want to accomplish? And so it kind of really got me thinking about, well, what do I want to accomplish? And it brought me back to the times when I used to show and how much I enjoyed doing that. And that within the showing, kind of setting a goal from within that of trying to get my bronze medal, which is a big pill to swallow. But, I mean, you break it down into bite-sized pieces, and then you can, of course, accomplish it that way. So,
Mm-hmm.
so you agreed to take me on as a student and help guide me through this way, and so that was originally my first goal, which was, kind of that lofty goal to obtain the bronze, and then breaking that down was focusing on which horse, can we use to get there. Is it one? Is it the other? Is it neither? And kind of trying to figure that out too. So I
So
think
if we were to talk about, you say you're talking about your USDF bronze, and for those of you who
correct.
may not know what that is, it's a dressage goal. It's a dressage medal they give out to people who get 65% or above at first level, the hardest test at first level, the hardest test at second level, and the hardest test at third level, which in dressage test terms, that would be first 3, second 3, and third 3. And there's 3 tests per level. And you have to get a 65% or above from 2 different judges at 2 different shows, which is fun. That, in some shows now, they have 2 different shows on the same weekend, so you can really maximize your dollars that way. But why does that make you tingle? What is it about getting to that USDF bronze that sort of, why was that a tingly thing for you?
Because it's really it would tell me, and I guess, prove to myself that I've really, really learned,
Mm-hmm.
dressage. I've really
Yeah.
mastered the levels. I know what I'm doing, for those levels. I know when the horses, if they're struggling with something, I know how to help them. So, it's more of an educational process, kind of like my diploma, if
Mm-hmm.
you will. So
Yeah.
that's kind
Yeah.
of how I was looking at it.
And that's great that I like how you said that it's an educational process, and definitely these levels are the basics. They actually have the most requirements and the highest level of scores, but they are, quote, the basics. Everything any rider above that level does every day is built on those basics, and that's why it's so important. But I love the fact that you think that could make you tingle, because I remember when I rode down the center line to the end of that third level 3 on my horse Tony and halted at X to salute, and it was kind of like I thought for a moment it was totally quiet, and I was like, I couldn't believe I did it. In fact, I'm getting teared up now just thinking of the emotion. I still feel that emotion of that moment and just how hard we had worked together and worked toward those goals. And I know if I had never set goals for myself, I would not have gotten there. The stepping stones wouldn't have been there. So let's talk a little bit about measuring. What is some of the things that you're going to measure yourself against to know that you are taking those stepping stones to get to that tingly feeling?
Okay, so I think setting, those bite-sized goals and participating, in the clinic, I think was the first step. And that kind of showed me a little bit where my score was, with Nico. So my first show with both of those boys would be on, and for those of you that don't know me, I have 2 retired racehorse thoroughbreds, which is completely new for me.
Uh-oh. I think you cut out a little bit. Looks like she's got some...
And as I was telling to Bailey today, it's 3 people in elementary school right now. So
That's so not true. Oh,
that's what I feel like right now.
so not true.
He was asking me which one, which one would I want to try to keep, and I said, well, if they both sold, then we would get an old, very calm schoolmaster that would help teach me. So.
You
Anyway,
have one in the barn. She just happens to be a she instead of a he.
That's fine. That's very fine. I would be happy to ride her. So,
so this is this is a big goal. It's in lots of different pieces. You're starting at intro, which is fabulous. Intro was not around when I was there, and I stayed at training level. I didn't even get to the first rung forever. But how do you make this achievable for you every day? Because, it might seem so far away, but what is it you do every day when you look at your plan, when you think, how can I get there today? What little thing can I do today so that, I'm just one step, even if it's a tiny step closer? How do you get to say that I wrote it like I owned it today?
Well, it's for me right now. It's courage building in some aspects. So, for instance, like we have a show coming up in 2 weeks that we're going to ride intro. So with Nico, who knows walk trot very well, we just rode the test that we're going to ride, at the show. But for Bristol, I'm still trying to get used to his canter. So it's more of, that day that I look at my plan, I'm gonna make him canter today, and and I'm gonna stay on, and I'm gonna stay in the middle of my saddle, and it's just those tiny little pieces that even though I build up my courage, and then I get up there, and I'm it's when I'm in the saddle, it's a different story, and I'm nervous again, and then I have to think,
yeah,
okay, my goal. All Danielle said is just canter once, and then you're done. When we were first cantering, that was the goal, and I was like, okay, all I have to do it is once, and then we're done. So, it's just kind of making those little tiny baby steps towards the goal.
Mm-hmm. And now, even I remember where you were like, oh, I was only able to go one direction on Bristol, and then all of a sudden it was now I'm cantering him left 20 meters a circle and right 20 meters, and sometimes those circles are a little sketchy, I know, but it's happening where, a couple weeks ago, a month or so ago, it maybe wasn't going to happen in your mind. It was like,
Well, now I don't have to hold on to the grab bar, which was huge.
Sometimes I do.
Yes, and you laugh, but I was like, the first time I didn't have to hold on to the grab bar, I was like, wow, I just cantered him without
all by myself. Yeah, and that was your rock star celebration, wasn't it? It was like, I did that all by myself.
I did it without the grab bar.
Awesome, and I hope you celebrated. Seriously,
I did.
What was your celebration?
Oh, well, I patted myself on the back, of course, and it just really boosted my confidence that, I could do it, and that I shouldn't be so afraid of him, because Bristol is a sweet, sweet horse, and except for today. And
that was funny.
Yeah, except for today. But he doesn't mean anything like Nico. Nico has a snarky side, but Bristol, I know, has a golden heart, and he wouldn't try to hurt me intentionally. So those rewards would be just, you did good, Sherry. Go have a glass of wine and soak in the tub, because you're going to be sore tomorrow. But
So if you were to say, would you say that this goal setting that we've done together has sort of made what kind of difference has it made for you? Is it working for you?
Yes, it's made me push myself further. Like you're saying, I want you to ride intro 3, which has canter in both directions at the show. And today I was like, okay, there's no way I'm riding canter, both directions after Bristol today. But I think, I have 2 weeks, so we'll work on it. And,
Mm-hmm.
I'll still set that as my goal, and I'll still shoot for that. And we'll see where it goes. I mean, it's just kind of, you set those goals and hope that you can get close to them. And if you didn't obtain that goal, at least you got closer to it,
Right.
so you still advanced.
Yeah.
But I think if you didn't set a goal, then you would be like where I was when I met you. I was just kind of floundering and not happy and afraid of my horses and, just feeding them every month. And that's, that was all I was doing. So
And
at
they
least
loved
I
that.
can
They did. They did love being
Yeah.
fed. Yes. Good.
Yeah.
Good. So let's go on to the next stage. And I don't know, I think Debbie is new, so welcome, Debbie. I don't know if you had a chance to look at the previous week video. Let me just unmute her for a second, Sherry, and let me ask her a question. Hey, Debbie, are you able to speak? Her hand's up. And she has a question. I think I've unmuted you. Are you able to unmute and talk? Or do you not have audio on your end? You are
I may not.
Oh, there we are. I hear you, Debbie.
Okay, I got to listen to the recording.
Yeah. Was it pretty good? Was it clear? You were able to understand everything?
Yes, it was very good, and that's why I'm tuning in tonight.
Oh, wonderful. Did you fill out your weekly plan for this week or next week? I think I sent it out Thursday or Friday, so maybe not.
No, I have not done that.
Okay. So how
But
about...
I only registered this morning, so I
Okay.
may not have been on the list.
Okay, so I will make sure you get that, but are you brave enough to maybe walk through an exercise of planning what your what your riding plan is going to look like for next week?
Wow, that's a loaded question because I actually have 2 horses. One's a saddlebred.
Uh-huh.
One's a Trakehner mare, and I actually did ride a test with you up in Cleveland, Tennessee on my
Yes.
saddlebred.
Oh, that's right. You were in that lovely orange shirt and that chestnut,
Yes,
and you
ma'am.
guys looked smashing. I do remember, yes.
Oh, yes. Well, I have a Trakehner mare who is probably the most difficult horse I've ever ridden in my life, and I'm not a mare person, but I wound up with her, so here I am. So based on my lessons locally yesterday, the mare was a bit of a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
I have got to get better at transitions between trot and canter and trot, and her not load. I've been fortunate in that she's so flamboyant. I haven't come off of her yet. Well, and I'm used to, I've had saddlebreds for 20-something years, so to switch to a warm blood was a rude awakening for me.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I'm just trying to, I'm actually probably going to bring her to your schooling with your
Oh, that'll
farm.
be exciting. Wonderful.
And I think just the more I take her, maybe she'll settle down. She can be very opinionated.
Okay. Well, I have an opinionated mare too. Some mares, I think I have all opinionated mares. I think that because, sometimes you attract what you are in the horse world, and I think my horses are trying to tell me something. But let's take a look at this riding plan. And I have a couple days. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let me just talk you through what this is. Every week I fill out a riding plan. I need to do this for my benefit and sort of watch my progress, because sometimes I would just have so much frustration that I felt like I was going nowhere, and I would have all these beautiful goals, and I would think, how I'm never going to get there. We talked about the goal setting on the sheet before, but if there's no sort of interim tracking of the progress, it just seemed hopeless, absolutely hopeless. I was going to be at training level until I was 95, and I would never, ever, ever get my, bronze medal. That was my first goal. And when I started sort of tracking what I was doing, it's kind of how this morphed. It started with me tracking what I was doing, so I just wouldn't do the same thing over and over again. I had to sort of get a little creative, and it also helped me put together a plan that let me adjust to my horse every day. So although there's this plan here, and at the top you kind of, I would pencil in what my goals were, what was my what was my goal for today? Like, am I going to work on suppling? And for that, there's these like 7 different kind of things that I would just circle them, or I would check them off. Sometimes I had a highlighter. I did lots of different things. So I would pick one of the 7 under the day, and then I would sort of remind myself, what am I doing? If you're looking for the bronze medal, well, if you're at first level, leg yields are a big deal, and so are transitions, and they're the bane of, transitions are the bane of every rider's existence. So it's something that I would work on. I would also try to take into account like the gait and the mood and the weather, because that would affect sometimes how my plan would go. Sometimes, if like this weekend, it was really warm yesterday, and then it was really cold today, so I kind of adjusted my plan today because it was cold and I needed to get my horse moving so she would not, get any more tense than she already was. But if I was to sit down with you and say, let's just take Monday and Tuesday. Let's say you're going to ride Monday and Tuesday. Let's just assume that for a minute, Debbie. And if you were going to start out on Monday with your spirited, lovely Trakehner mare, what would be a good way to start her work week? Just given what you know about her, is she the one who needs some suppling in the arena? Shoulder in, shoulder out, some leg yielding, long and low kind of stretching exercises? Or would she be better with a good just, hack through the hills to kind of burn off some energy so she actually can focus on you? If you were going to pick one of those 1 through 7, you can't pick rest. We already pretending today's the rest day. So 1 through 6, what would you pick to sort of start her out if Monday was your first ride of the week?
Okay, I would probably say trail ride, because I'm fortunate in that I'm on a 3,000 acre farm.
Oh, how lovely.
And well, I have her in training with someone who has this 3,000 acre farm, or she's the trainer there. And she needs a trail ride because there's so many, in my situation, I've just moved her from full training to half training because I need to be on her more. So trainer is going to be on her at least 2 days a week, and then that's going to give me 2 to 3 days a week to get more in tune with her. So she actually needs a trail ride.
Okay. So then after you trail ride, is that going to be the whole ride, like 30, 40 minutes, or is that that's all you're going to do on Monday? And that's perfectly fine. I just, want to be sure.
Yes, and the reason I say that is because when I do take mine on trail rides, I'm still working on things like into my leg.
Yes.
We're going down a road, and let's scoot over from my leg or touch, I'm suddenly working on things even though they don't know that I'm doing that. They just think they're on a trail ride.
Yep, exactly. So let's say it's now day 2. She's been on her trail ride. She's had this great, outdoors experience, been exposed to stuff. You've been able to work her. What would you do on day 2? What would day 2 look like for you out of this list?
Getting her actually on the bit and not pulling is one thing.
Okay.
It's not a saddle fit issue. It is not a chiropractic issue, because I've had all those addressed recently. It is just getting her on the bit and steady would be what I would want to work on day 2.
Okay. So let's say that would be in maybe is that from a lesson you would be working on, or like some?
No, there's certain there's certain days that I have her on my own because I just think I need time away from the trainer to figure some of this stuff out on my own. And
Right.
it's, you know, it's so easy when you've got a trainer or somebody giving you your lessons and they're sitting there watching over you and they can tell you everything you do wrong and help you correct it. It's sometimes you need a long time to figure it out and figure out how am I going to fix this.
So the next day you'd be working on suppling exercises and getting her around and working.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Excellent. So essentially what this would do, especially if you have more than one horse, or, you know, in my case, you know, this was originally for one horse, I would also have some, you know, reminders to do my daily stretches. Like for me, that meant carrot stretches that Dr. Hillary Clayton talked about. I would maybe start on the lunge. I also have, it's cut off here, I think, let me see if I can open it real quick, is the, darn, for some reason, is, you know, working over Cavaletti is in my plan to remind myself, you know, just to keep myself thinking, you know, am I going to work on an obstacle today? I have a little bridge built that I can walk my horses over. I like to remind myself to ride without stirrups as a, you know, to help quiet my leg, deepen my seat, get more following. And then things like what you just said, you know, like on the bit exercises. How can I get the horse to accept the bit more? You know, what can I do to be able to see that you know, to see some progress? And then down here, I write down what exercises I'm going to specifically do. So, you know, helping the horse get on the bit, there's a lot of forward and back. Helping them stretch to the bit and then, you know, slowing the gait down, the tempo down a little bit, and then releasing the hand or pushing the hands forward and then letting them fill up that rein and then just find their space and then being quiet and following as best I can. And then I also have at the bottom my reminders here for what my fitness is, what I have to work on, what I need to do. Either things I can do at the barn or things I'm going to do at the gym that week or things I'm just going to do at home because I don't go to the gym every week, every day, but I do go to the gym at least 3 times a week when I am riding from or working, not traveling is what I'm trying to say, when I'm around. So basically your plan gives you something to work on and to remind you what you did the day before and maybe what worked. Sometimes I would have an aha moment and totally forget about it for a week or totally forget about my aha moment or what made everything so wonderful. And I could look back at, you know, what it is I did. You know, what was I doing when I made that aha moment. And so that's why I like to keep my weekly plan handy and keep things in front of me all the time, along with a little inspiration so I don't go crazy, because horses, I don't know if you noticed, they drive you crazy. So one of the things we talked about last week, besides the ride itself, it's your mental state, your mental gymnastics, your mental workout. So I told the story last week, and I'll just repeat it quickly for Debbie and Grace, is that a lady called who was moving here from Chicago, and she was calling different barns and to see, you know, what was available. And I thought she said her last name was Fantastic. And so I was thinking, that's fantastic. If my last name was Fantastic, I would feel fantastic. All I would have to do is say my name. I'd be totally fantastic. So I decided to start calling myself as my rider name is, you know, I'm Danielle Fantastic. And it just, you know, there's times when you're on your horse, you don't feel fantastic. Not at all. But I began to channel that through a lot of my rides, and it really made some of those things when it's not working, spooky out of the barn, half halt's not working, I would, you know, try to channel my inner fantastic. So let me unmute Sherry. Let's see if she remembered to think about her channeling her inner fantastic. Did you pick a rider name or superhero or superpower when you were doing your plank challenge this week?
Yeah, you always call me a rock star, so I'm like Sherry rock star. You can do
Sherry
this because
Rockstar.
you
I
already
love it.
believe me that I can do that. So I always hear you saying you're a rock star. So that's what I am.
Well, and it's funny because I just have this image of you with the glasses and like the denim jacket with the crystals, and I can just see you as, and the sunglasses, the mirror type that are like, you can't see your eyes, you're behind that. You're just very rock star to me, and so.
Well, that's what I am. That's what I think of when I need that to pull that inner courage. I'm like, come on, where's the rock star?
Where's my rock star? And it helps, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. It's like
Yeah.
she's in there somewhere.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And it helps because sometimes, one other thing that's interesting is we forget that so much of a horse's environment and the way they see things is it's their sensories. So they sense how you feel. If you come to the barn tired, I've had horses in the past that I've had to ride that if I had a bad day at work, there was no way I was getting on that horse because it was going to go south. It was not going to work. And if I didn't have my inner rock star on or my fantastic on, oh, I was toast. I just, there was some very high alpha and some problem horses kind of in the mix, and that just wasn't going to work. But then I've had other horses where if I pull out the rock star, they totally shut down. They completely need the, sort of the yoga Zen mentality. So, sometimes my fantastic has to be fantastically calm. Because otherwise my horse will be fantastically leaving, which would be bad. Totally not fun.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that you're a rock star. Let me see let's see. Debbie, you think about it and I'll see what Grace, does Grace have an inner, what's her rider name, superhero or superpower when she's riding? Do you have one, Grace? And if you don't, that's okay. But that's something you can think about for next week.
Okay.
All right, because we are getting you ready to show in next month, so that's going to be pretty exciting. We need to work this out for your mind thing. And what about you, Debbie? Are you able to find something, or you want to work on something for next week? I think you're muted, my dear.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, delightfully so.
Okay. I have not used one in the past, but I think of Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman. That's awesome. One of my other students who attended last week, and she's going to listen to the recording. She couldn't make it this week because, darn it, I think she's riding something. She liked Wonder Woman, and I dig that. I can just, you know what, that is so you because I can see you in the bracelets and just dodging the bullets and being up there on your horse, and you're just like, nope, I don't care what silly you've got. I've got the magic bracelets. You have to listen to me. I can just see that. That is so you. That's perfect.
Okay.
All right. So moving right along, we're going to talk about, the anatomy of a great ride, because part of the ride is taking our goals, seeing it in our weekly plan, and then knowing what is, basically in every ride. Before I get on my horse, I'm looking at my plan, I'm looking at my goals, I'm looking at my inspiration, because some days, I don't feel like riding, believe it or not. I get tired and human just like everybody else, and I need a little pick me up. And so I always try to have something written down that, I love quotes, so I pick a quote a week to inspire me, or a Bible verse. One of my favorites is the 1 Timothy 3:17, where it says, God gives you the power of a sound mind. And because I know that most horse people are crazy, because why would you strap yourself to a 1,000+ pound animal and consider this fun and sport? He gives you power and a sound mind so that you can really do this well. We all have to tack up our horses. We have to warm up our body. We have to warm up our horse's body. We have to channel our inner superpower, the mind, not the mind. And apparently Danielle, after a horse show, doesn't I went to a horse show this weekend, everybody, and then that's what we're going to see next. You get your inner superpower on, you work on your exercises, you cool down and have some fun with your horse, and then you do some, some post evaluation. What went well, what didn't go well, what do you think you need to do differently next time? And then you celebrate, just enjoy it. I mean, in all honesty, we have horses and we are the luckiest people in the world because we get to ride. And we have, these equine partners that are so noble and are so wonderful. And I think that's, the best thing in the world to remind myself every day of how blessed I am because I can ride. This is a dream. I think my parents said my first words were, mommy, daddy, pony. So that's always just been something I've wanted to do. So now I'm going to take you to a warm-up show video, and you're going to wonder why I'm showing you this now. And the reason I'm showing you this now is because it's kind of like reverse engineering. I want you to go with me and see with me, and it just worked out that here it is, class 2, and I'm at a show. I'm at a USDF rated show, the Good Horseman show in Conyers, and I'm taking my mare out for the first time this year, so it's the first show. It's spring, and it's her first pre-St. George. So there's a lot of firsts here going on, and I am dead set 100% believer in the fact that the way you warm up for the horse show is the way the ride's going to go. And so when you have a really great warm up, you can fix a lot of problems that your horse may be having and you don't even know. Like, you don't know that maybe your horse that's always stiff to the right has had a draft on them to the left, and they come out of the stall and you get on and you're riding this horse that's always stiff to the left, there's not always stiff right, and now they're stiff left. And what do? That's when you kind of have to remember going back, maybe during some, nasty weather, the horse was stiff left and you had to do some exercises and do your warm-up and try to get a different kind of feel in that the horse's response during the warm-up. So let me just quickly walk you through my warm-up. And my warm-up is pretty much, I've established this for this mare. This is her warm-up. This is what she likes at this moment. This doesn't mean that this has always been the warm-up for her. It doesn't mean it's the warm-up for you. You are welcome to use this warm-up. It may not work for you. You'll notice that I go from about 10 minutes of walking and suppling. And by suppling, I mean I'm doing shoulder in, I'm doing shoulder out, I'm doing leg yield, I'm doing forward and back at the walk, I'm doing full stretches all the way to the buckle, and then I'm gathering up the reins, so I'm stretching her neck up and down multiple times. I'm keeping the walk energetic, but at times I'm also saying, come back to me by just using my seat or my core muscles or that plank activity to squeeze, release my abs and get her to listen. Because she's interesting. There's some horses you cannot start out at the walk with them. She's kind of in a phase right now where she wants to sort of come out of either the field or the stall and decompress. She wants to stretch. I've had other horses that if you start them at the walk, they have a mental breakdown, they panic, or I've had other horses that if you start them out at the walk, they take over, you're going to spend 45 minutes trying to get them to listen to you. Forget it. That doesn't work for them. They have to be more mobile. For her, right now, the next thing is to go from the walk to canter. A lot of people go from walk to trot, perfectly normal. Right now, Mare is happy with forward and back at the canter. She wants to do, I move, well, she doesn't want to, but to help supple her on both reins and both legs, she's doing some counter canter loops. I start with something a little shallow, then I go to X. I do some counter canter around the arena, around half the arena. I do leg yield to a shoulder in, to a few steps of half pass and back to leg yield, so I know she's really listening to my legs. She likes to be a little heavy on the right rein. I'm trying to even her up and say no. The leg is the primary aid, that the hand is just my modifier. When I feel, in those, and I don't know how many minutes it takes in the 10 minutes, but then I start some canter walks and walk canters. Then I start some single changes, and then I start some lines of changes on the diagonal. Changes she gets emotional about. She gets a lot of tension. So, I spend some time just getting her, letting her kind of work out the kinks, kick out at my leg, be unhappy, drift to the left, to the right, not change, do all the things she's going to do, and then, kind of get some good changes. In between, I do some, walking and stretching, and then I start the trot. And, the canter improves the trot. So with this mare, the trot is one of her harder gaits. It's something I've actually had to create. It's not something she came with. And we focus on the tempo and cadence. So if you saw our initial trot, kind of looks like crappy pony trot. I don't let her take off. We do a lot of forward and back, and then we do a lot of suppling exercises that I used in the walk sequence. So what I managed to get from the show today is some of my walking warm-up. It's only 2 minutes. You missed, let's say what I've already done here is walking on the buckle, walking forward, and now I'm just sort of saying, you know what, I really, 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 really want you to be able to let me just position your neck where I want to. If I want to bend you to the left and we're going left, you're just going to give me a nice stretch into that. If I want to bend you to the outside, I'm going to give you, you're just going to give to that. For me right there, I just kind of asked her to stretch her neck down, and now I'm kind of asking her to come up, and now down, and now up. And now if you can see, there's the outside bend right there, and I'm really touching her with my legs a little strongly. What you don't see off camera is there's this gorgeous stallion also in the arena with me, and she's got this, hey baby, I'm gonna go follow you. So her walk is not relaxed at this stage, and I'm a little disappointed, but this is how we warm up. I know that she's got to warm up at the walk, sort of letting me move her neck around, letting me move her haunches around. Now I'm playing with the shoulder in, shoulder out. From this angle, you can't really see it, but I'm saying, hey, move off my leg, move off my left leg or right leg, and now I'm going to straighten her, and then I'm going to swivel to the inside and then ask her to move off my right leg. And I think I'm almost getting off. No, I got a little bit more time yet. And then I'm going to stretch her. And she's like really, really, really wanting to go find that stallion. It feels like she's kind of trembling right now. I think she's having like a teenage moment. And cue the music from any of those teenage movies that they have out these days. So she's, that's what we were doing. So that was 2 minutes of my walking. Not very exciting. Nobody's thinking I'm a rock star. Nobody's thinking anything about, my riding at this time. But I'm doing what my mare needs. Now, somehow I've got these 2 videos. If you'd like to see these guys do whatever it is they're doing. But let me go back and let's take a look at the canter. So now I've walked, and now I'm asking for the canter. And I've been doing some canter for a few minutes before this, and so now I'm on counter canter around the arena because she's really, really not being legitimate. She's kind of bracing the base of her neck against my hands, and so I'm just like, nope, 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 nope. This, I need you to be straight. She's a pretty elastic mare, and I need you to be really there goes that stallion. He's got the 2, not the bay in the front, but the 2 white socks, the diagonal socks. That's the stallion. And then I hope you saw there was a really nice flying change there. So I don't normally asked for the flying change out of the counter canter with her because she's really good at counter canter. She likes counter canter. So it's not an aid for her in teaching the changes, but I felt she was going to give me a good change, so I just decided to do it. There's nothing in your warm-up that says you can't ride what you feel. And at this juncture, it's much colder today than it was yesterday, and this is my warm-up from today. So I actually probably cantered maybe 12 to 15 minutes with a couple of walk breaks in here because I really wanted her to warm up because she was cold. I could tell her hairs were standing up on end and she was really chilly. So here again, I'm doing what I did in the walk, which I'm just suppling her back and forth, and then my husband, somebody dropped a whip, and so my husband goes and saves them. That's my beloved. That's what he does. And so, you know, my warm-up there is, you know, really, really important. And now, and this is for my person who was asking about lateral work. And just an FYI, I have 2 more clinics coming up at the barn, among other things, but I have a transitions clinic and then I have a lateral clinic. And it doesn't matter if you've never done any lateral work at all. You know, we'll spend some time really working on the lateral. But I'm going to share my first test with you that I rode on Saturday. And we'll talk a little bit about the lateral work. Now this is from the view a little to the left of C. So remember, you kind of have to adjust your eyes. Sometimes things look a little off. And then I also have my husband videotaping me from the side. So I know that although I got a nice score on this square looking halt, from the view at sea, I thought it was parked out. It felt parked out underneath me. My ending halt is much better, so I was much better at that. So here I have some nice engagement, and I'm really thinking about my core at this point. It's sort of release and go, release and go, release and go. And she starts off quick, so I wasn't really happy with this extension. And then here she engages for me. Now she starts pushing and reaching. And I'm trying not to grind my teeth because she's, you know, done a full diagonal for me before. Here you can see I'm kind of bouncing, so I've lost a little bit of my core stability. I'm not helping her. I'm actually kind of unhelping her at that moment, not helping her balance. I'm a little against. And here she's dropping her back, and we're going to lose some of the engagement. There she goes. She's quick, 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 and you see me bouncy, bouncy, bouncy. And really what I should have done there is used a little more of that core exercise we did with our plank and say, oh no, 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 no. Now here, that's a pretty darn good half pass. It's not a huge amount of cross. I have done better with her in that, but that was steady, and you know, she was listening. Now again, she starts out quick, and then we kind of had an argument here, and I lost. She cantered. So honestly, that was just rider error in that whole diagonal. Was just me not really keeping my position and just encouraging her to reach up to it. So this is a nice cadenced shoulder in. It could use a little more angle. She could be softer and stretching to the outside rein. And again, you know, I really could be less sloppy in my middle. This kind of, you know, when I saw this video, I was like, wow, I really thought I was engaged correctly in my core, but not so much. This half pass started a little late because I didn't get my butt over to the inside, but I've got a lot better cross on this side. She's much more supple this way. And that transition I was pretty proud of because she came right up off my seat. This mare came pretty heavy on the right-hand rein, and she was held together for most of this type of training, and I'm a weenie, or I like to call it, actually I'm a princess. I'm Princess Fantastic. I like my horses to carry themselves, and so one of the things I like to teach is self-carriage. And there she stuck one step, so that wasn't a very good turn. She kind of decided that my left leg was no longer necessary. Now this one, she maintained the activity behind. If you notice the hind legs, she was stepping through them. but she didn't, you know, I lost a little bit in the top line, so she was braced a little bit in her back. So I kind of got, I think I didn't get a very good score. I think I got a 5 and a 6, yeah, I got a 5 and a 6 on those. And you know, this mare is built long in the back, so I don't really expect her to overtrack, but I do expect her to walk, you know, 4 beat and in nice pairs. So I usually get like a 6 or a 6.5 if it's a really good judge on that walk. But 7s, probably the 7s won't come until she's confirmed Grand Prix, where she really tilts her pelvis and listens. So here comes the canter work, and this is my first half pass. I'm going to go half pass to flying change. I probably could sit a little more over, but I think she's flowing nice. And that change wasn't too bad, could have been a little more forward. This one here, she kind of surprises me, and she's such a mare. She runs away from my right leg and then decides to kick out at the change. So that was not great. Now here comes my pirouette. And again, this is where my abs should engage. Ab engagement here, shorten, a little tempo, da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da. Still large, but not bad. Overall, not bad. Not bad in that pirouette. It was a half pirouette. And now we come up for the change, and she was croup high. So she's getting, right now, if from a riding perspective, she's panicking over the changes. She thinks we're going to do the changes. We have to do one more pirouette. So I've sort of lost her attention, and this is a pretty labored, not well-defined pirouette. And then she decides to throw in changes just randomly. So I need to stop and just focus her, put her back on the counter canter, hold her with my inside leg, and then she even still changes immediately because she's like, oh my gosh, the changes are coming. So this line of changes is pretty terrible. She's croup high, she's running through my inside and outside leg, and there's also the stallion is back in the, there was like 5 stallions at this, and so she's like, holy crap, there he is. You know, so she climbed, and so that was just, it just didn't go well. And then here comes in some other changes. These 3s, I was supposed to do 5 4s and 5 3s. I think I got nothing close to that. So there you go. I was like, well, that didn't go well. So I'm going to try to redeem myself a little bit here and do a really nice canter extension, and she's uphill here and really reaching. And then I'm like, okay, here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. Here comes the change. I got the change, but I wasn't enough near F. She was a little anticipatory, as she'd been for the whole changes. And now she thinks, well, why don't I just throw in 1s? And so I haven't tried 1s on this horse for a month or better. And then we had a little bit of a halt issue, but she did halt square up and under. And if you saw it from the side video, it's really, really beautiful. So that's kind of Danielle's, you know, my information on the my test. And I could have told you in my warm-up that my changes were not going to be good. They have been really good up until the week before the show, and then they've kind of gone crappy. And so she, you know, I just, you know, I had paid for the show, and I was going to go see what I was going to get, because I can't recreate the show atmosphere in that regard. So does anybody have any questions about how the warm-up or, you know, affects the ride, or how that ride went in general? I've unmuted you all, and you're certainly welcome to ask me some questions about it, or even about some lateral work, because that was the original reason why I kept that in. You know, what questions did you have before we sort of close up for tonight in terms of my test? You'll have to unmute yourselves if you want any if you have any questions, because I've unmuted you all.
Danielle, this is Debbie.
Sure.
I guess it was so nice to have a perspective of somebody else that you go in the ring and everything doesn't go perfect and it doesn't go exactly as you planned.
No.
And it's just nice. I mean, not that you had that experience, but it's nice to know you're not the only person that happens to.
Well, you know what is frustrating me about a lot of training that's out there, and God bless them, I understand why, because, you know, you guys just got to see my heart. I just totally was vulnerable and open, and it didn't go perfect. It did not meet my expectations, but on the flip side, I had a great learning experience. I got to expose both her and me to how she's going to be in the arena, and some things you know, I've got a ton to work on, but it frustrates me sometimes that all we ever see are these perfectly groomed $1 million horses in their $1 million facilities, and you know, that at, you know, 5 minutes after their birth, they're you know, they're wiped off, they stick a saddle on them and they're piaffing, and you're like, well, if I had a $1 million horse, I suppose I could expect that too. And if I had 2 grooms fixing my horse and 32 people grooming my grounds, you know, maybe that would be, I guess it would be perfect for me all the time too, but it's not like that. And I kind of want to bring all of you on your journeys with me. And one of the ways I can do that is I can just show you that sometimes it just doesn't go well. And it's all part of the learning experience.
And too, Danielle, I wanted to say too that last minute Danielle asked me to scribe, and so I ended up being an e-scribe at the show. So I actually got to see Danielle ride yesterday, which was a blessing and a pleasure in itself. But sitting with the judge, I mean, you think, you know, everybody has this perfect ride and dressage is perfect, but the judge had stuff to say about every horse, every single horse that rode. And it is that way. I mean, you're going to have a movement that's not bad, but just, you know, each movement is independent from itself. So just because you messed up the flying changes doesn't mean you can't get a great canter or you can't get that stretch, you know, when you cross the diagonal. So, you know, I mean, everybody, Debbie, everybody has, you know, stuff that they can improve on in the ride, even those $1 million horses, you know, at the show. So
right. No one's gotten 100% yet. They've gotten close. They've gotten 90s and 92s, but still, you know, I think it's this kind of camaraderie and community that I want to build, that we kind of all bring each other along and help each other, because I'm also a judge, and I see rides where, you know, in my career, I've handed out 0s, 1s, 2s, and 3s and 10s in the same test, you know, where you see something that went really well and just blew you away, and then you see something that didn't go so well. And, you know, and you're right, it's every movement, and we all have to also recognize what our horse's strengths are. And right now, you know, I've got to help her accept the pressure of the show, and that she has to just give me the changes, and that, you know, I can't, you know, it's not like I can school them when I'm there. And she knows a little bit that, and that's one of the reasons why I have to do it at a show, is because she kind of knows she can get away with a few things in the competition arena, because I'm maybe not going to be able to go back and school it or prep it, and, you know, without going on. So I have to make rider repairs. So it makes me be much more in tune with her, and it also, you know, is me saying, okay, sister, you have to do this. So, you know, that's a little bit of both ends for us right now. So thank you. Those are great, great questions. What we're going to do this week for our Build the Core challenge, we're going to keep doing our planks, but we're going to add some cat and cow stretches in between the planks. And this is not going to be, it will be a timed event as well, but we'll try to do as many repetitions in the timing that is here for each day, and each day we'll add 30 seconds. So tomorrow you'll do your first one, and then 35 seconds, see how many repetitions you can get in. And this is going to work your core, but it's also going to help your back, because a lot of what I was doing in getting her to listen to me is I have to relax my back. I have to soften my back and go with her because she's very, very movable. You know, she's got a very pliable back. It's very active. She's very through the back. But when I brace, she immediately braces against me. She takes it a little personal right now. So, you know, keeping my back supple is important. So that's one of the things we'll do this week. So this is what it looks like. Here, I've got some pictures. So this is the plank. So you'll do a plank, and you can do the modified plank. You can also do the modified plank on your forearms. I do that a lot because I've hurt my wrists in times past, so sometimes this full plank pose is not comfortable for me, and I don't always have my wrist braced. So I do the modified plank, not the one on the knees. I do the one on the forearms here. And then basically just drop your knees and then do some cat and cow. And the cat, when you do the cat pose, like a stretching cat, you're basically stretching your back and you want to exhale and suck in your tummy. And then when you do the cow pose, you inhale. Yeah, you exhale and then you inhale when you're doing the cow pose and just fill your lungs and try to broaden your chest with as much oxygen as you can. And I have to say that breathing made all the difference in the world for me at shows. I did not think I could hold my breath for 5 minutes, but I've actually tried. And I couldn't figure out why I was seeing stars. But so breathing and using your abs and using and engaging your back muscles, very important for the you know, any riding that we do. And you even get a little hamstring stretch as a secondary in the cat and cow pose. So that's what we're going to do this week for our challenge. And I will send out to Debbie and Grace the Ready to Ride packet. You'll get your SMARTS plan to fill out your goals, as well as a copy of your weekly riding and fitness plan, so you can fill that out for next week. I didn't see any notebooks posted on Facebook this week, but if you want to get a notebook and start, you know, carrying it around with you, I have mine at the barn. On the cover of mine, I'll post a picture of mine. I forgot to do that. I have the training pyramid. And then don't forget to think as you're doing your exercise challenge, your plank, your cat and cow pose, to channel your fantastic, your Wonder Woman, if you will. Snap a photo, get it up on, post it on Facebook, snap a photo of yourself and put it in your notebook. You know, encourage yourself that you're not only just, you know, working when you're riding, you're also working on preparing yourself off the horse. And one of the goals for your plan this week is to think about your warm-up plan. Of course, the rest of the ride is important. That's not what I'm saying, but really start thinking through what is it you can do to really focus on your warm-up plan, something that you can do every day. You saw my warm-up plan. I actually set a timer. The timer actually came about because I had a horse that didn't sweat, and I wanted to make sure I gave him a break every 10 minutes. So I had to set a timer. When I get on a horse and I don't set a timer, I could ride forever. I just lose total track of time. So to discipline myself, I set the timer on my phone, and in the case of my warm-up, if we just go back, I would set it for 10 minutes, and I would do my walking, and then the chime would go off, and then I would do 10 minutes of canter, and then the chime would go off, and then I would spend a couple minutes walking, and then I would set it again for 10 minutes, and then I would do trotting. And then I kind of do an assess. Do I need to do more? Have I done enough? Do I like the responses? You know, every time while I'm walking and taking a break, or even while I'm in the movement, I try to assess, is this everything I want? Can I get a little more? Should I try a little more? Or is this, you know, this is nice and this is soft? And so those little chimes kind of help trigger me to do a self-assess at that moment. Okay. Now for Debbie and Grace, one of the things I'm working on is I'm going to put together a virtual dressage trainer experience. So I'm looking for folks who'd be interested in, I'm putting together an application, and what we're going to do is do some virtual training classes. We'll use some video to take a look at a test of where you are and where you want to be, as well as do some actual live rides via video and do some virtual training and see how that goes, and that would be with me. So I will be sending out those applications shortly, and we will go from there. And let me unmute all of you. You'll get all the nitty-gritty on this. If you have any questions, please let me know what those are, and I will also try to take another stab at the question on the lateral work in my exercise next week, because there's always ways for me to, at this stage, to get in a couple things in one exercise to help all of you out. So certainly if you want me to cover something specific, let me know. And if you have any questions right now, I know I've gone 5 minutes over, but if you could certainly ask, if you have any questions, let me know. And if you like the class, please invite your friends to join. Are we all good? All ready to go ride?
Yes.
All right. Perfect answer. Sherry gets an A for the day. All right. Well, I will sign off, and I will look forward to hearing from you and checking out your feedback on Facebook.
Thank
Have a
you.
good evening. Thank you. Ciao.
Bye.